Halal pharmaceutical product trends and forecasts. Halal is an Arabic word that means lawful permissible according to Islamic law. Halal pharmaceutical products must be manufactured, prepared and extracted that follows recommendations of Islam, which means that it should be free from haram constituents. In Islam context, halal food must not be contaminated with dead animals, swine, alcohol, carnivorous animals, animals that are slaughtered in the name other than God. This is important as some pharmaceutical excipients are derived from animals. There are some halal issues related to drug product, for example ethanol. Ethanol only can be used as a solvent if it is not derived from alcoholic beverages or liquor. Tolerable amount of alcohol permitted in final pharmaceutical product is 0.01%. Next is gelatin. Gelatin is used in making capsules. It is important as it can be obtained from bones and beef skin. For making halal products, we must ensure that the gelatin used in capsules are plant-based. As for aproteinin beractin, sodium biphosphate and sodium phosphate dehydrate, they are mainly originated from bovine and it is not considered as halal as production of these substances are uncertain according to the Sharia law. These are commonly used substances in pharmaceutical products with their sources of origin. The table shows the halal haram status for some excipients used in pharmaceutical products. Trends and forecasts in halal pharmaceutical industry. Trends in halal pharmaceutical industry includes production of halal vaccines, awareness and emergence of halal certification. For production of halal vaccines, Halal Industry Corporation received $100 million to produce halal and port-free vaccines for meningitis, hepatitis and meningococcal. Next, Malaysia has produced the world's first halal pharmaceutical standards called MS2424 2012. This standard will create a potential to raise awareness about the need of halal pharmaceuticals. Now, the trend for halal pharmaceutical is going towards the emergence of halal certification and halal certified companies. US-based company called No Vitamin were created to produce halal certified multivitamins. Now, these companies are among the companies that involve in halal industry. Halal Pharmaceutical Market Research Report has observed the trends for a period of 2018 to 2025. The market was valued at USD 93.96 billion in 2018 and is predicted to peak to reach USD 174.59 billion by 2025, with a CAGR of 9.4% during the forecast period. According to the State of Global Islamic Economy report, it is expected for Muslim expenditure on pharmaceutical to surpass USD 131 billion over the forecast period, and Asia Pacific has become the largest halal pharmaceutical market with revenue of USD 39.90 billion in 2018. United Kingdom is expected to grow at CAGR of 10.1% during forecast period. In 2018, UK halal pharmaceutical market has contributed 6.9% of overall market in Europe. Now, UK government has initiative to invest in pharmaceutical R&D to 2.4% of GDP by 2027. In Malaysia, investors for manufacturing halal pharmaceutical products have set up halal industrial parks in Penang, and now investors have chosen Malaysia as halal hub for domestic consumers due to high demand for biosimilars, herbals, and low-cost medicines. Middle East and Asia Pacific halal pharmaceutical market region will likely to experience similar demand trend in coming 7 years due to presence of large Muslim population. Halal medicines have been widely practiced in some Islamic countries like Indonesia, Malaysia, and Brunei. Asia Pacific has become the main region that exhibits the uptake of halal medicines. The halal market is expected to enter Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Iran, Qatar, Russia, France, and Libya due to higher demand for halal medicines. Countries like Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore, Australia, New Zealand, United Kingdom, and United States of America has their own halal certification bodies to regulate the conversions of halal medicine market. Malaysia has regarded as market leader for halal pharmaceutical industry and being the first country to create new halal pharmaceutical standards. CCM is the first company to have halal license for prescription medicine given by JAKIM. Next are the strengths, opportunities, and challenges found in halal pharmaceutical market. The strengths found are global demand of halal pharmaceutical products has escalated due to growing of global Muslim population, and halal global industry is a fast-growing industry despite the absence of large brand names and products. The opportunities are halal medicines can be marketed internationally if there is information and knowledge regarding halal values. Second, the increasing purchasing of halal medicines allow the market to grow globally. Various pharmaceutical companies are trying to develop halal medicines. The challenges in this market are first, it needs a well-regulated accreditation and harmonized halal management system that is accepted globally. Next, they need to have a group of experts in halal pharmaceutical industry. Thirdly, the halal knowledge is following the Sharia law instead of scientific approach. The scientific knowledge creates the obstacle for this industry to grow globally. And the last one is stakeholders are not aware with opportunities exist in this market due to the lack of the knowledge and awareness of halal certification.
Trend and forecast in personalized medicine. Personalized medicine is a form of medicine that uses information about a person on genes or protein to diagnose and treat or prevent disease, also known as precision medicine. Personalized medicine has the potential to tailor therapy with the best response and highest safety margin to ensure better patient care. If patients will receive early diagnosis, risk assessment, and optimal treatment, hold promise for improving healthcare while also lowering costs. In cancer, personalized medicine use specific information about a person's tumor to help make a diagnosis, plan treatment, and find out how well treatment is working, or make a prognosis. For example, personalized medicine using targeted therapy to treat specific type of cancer cells, such as HER2 positive breast cancer cells, or using tumor marker testing to help diagnose cancer. Trend of personalized medicine. In early days, clinical adoption of personalized medicine progression is slow. Personalized medicine dramatically transformed public healthcare system, but few medical fields are not ready to implement it yet. This is because of needed of transitioning from the traditional one cure fit all treatment model to new process that leverage patient genetic, lifestyle, and environmental risk factor is an immense task that present challenge in both the laboratory and the clinics. As for now, oncology is a field that have been most impacted by development in precision medicine. Around 90% of the top marketed precision treatment approved in 2018 were cancer therapies, while other therapeutic areas have lagged far behind. The majority of approved precision medicine in oncology achieve something of a half between the old way and the new. They fall short of being tailored to a specific individual, but they allow for more detailed stratification of patients by the oncogenic mutation of the tumors, which may be driving cancer cell survival and growth. Common examples of this mutation are HER2 in certain breast and stomach cancer, BRAF in melanoma, and EGFR in lung cancer. High expression of this protein at cancer site can be targeted by precision treatment, such as monoclonal antibody Herceptin for HER2. Regulators such as U.S. Food and Drug Administration (FDA) and European Medicines Agency (EMA) are also increasingly approving tumor-agnostic treatment, for the first and most famous of which is Merck immunotherapy Keytruda pembrolizumab, which targets specific biomarkers regardless of tumor location. Barrier in drug development. In clinical research and development, there are growing pains associated with moving the pharmaceutical pipeline towards drug targeting smaller patient subgroups. Again, cost is a central issue. Companion diagnostic doesn't come cheap. Finding and validating biomarkers to guide targeted therapy is a lengthy task, and analyzing vast amounts of data often require new teams with specialized knowledge. Treatments such as Novartis, Kimbria, and Gilead's Yescarta remove T-cells from patient blood, modify them to the target tumor cell antigen, and then infuse them back into the bloodstream. This therapy have achieved impressive results in rare and advanced cancer, but costs upward of 400,000 per patient, limiting the reimbursement option among both private and public payers. Regulatory uncertainty of personal medicine. The difficulty of providing sufficient evidence of safety and efficacy can also present issue, where current regulations struggle to accommodate new innovation in personal medicine. Personal medicine accounts for one out of every four therapeutic approved since 2014. FDA Center for Drug Evaluation and Research (CDER) approved 48 new molecular entities (NME) in 2019. From the 44 therapeutic NME, 11 of them, which 25% are personalized medicine, are classified by Personalized Medicine Coalition. For example, Mezensiponimod, the treatment of relapsing form of multiple sclerosis. The use of this product is informed by the cytochrome P2C9 biomarker, status in patient, and many more. Focus of personalized medicine. The global precision medicine market is expected to register 12.48% growth rate and is anticipated to reach 126.14 billion USD by 2025. Precision medicine is one of the most modernized trends in the healthcare industry, which have shown a tremendous level of progress in the last few years. The patient involvement in personal healthcare development of technology such as next-generation sequencing technology and ultra-high throughput sequencing increase in genetic disease. The potential for more targeted therapy and integration of big data healthcare company with pharma and biotech company are the major driver propelling market growth. Additionally, the integration of big data healthcare company with pharmaceutical and biotech company likely to support market growth. On the other hand, the lack of awareness about the possible application of precision medicine and the reimbursement policy and regulatory framework is anticipated to hamper the market growth. Geographically, the market is analyzed into South North America, Europe, Asia Pacific, and the rest of the world. North America estimated to contribute a significant market share in the global precision medicine industry over the forecast period. Increasing prevalence of cancer, respiratory disease, and neurological disorder are augmenting in the growth of North America precision medicine market.
Next, I will present the trend and forecast of nanoparticle, protein drugs, and biotechnology drugs. Nanomedicine is the medical application of nanotechnology used for the treatment, diagnosis, monitoring, and control of biological systems by employing nanoparticles. Nanoparticles are solid colloidal particles ranging in size from about 1 nanometer to 100 nanometer. Biopolymer-based nanoparticles, including protein, have widely used in recent years due to their desirable properties such as low toxicity and biodegradability. Disease and ill health are caused largely by damage at molecular and cellular level. Today's surgical tools are huge and imprecise in comparison. The nanometric size is the scale of many biological mechanisms in the human body, allowing nanoparticles to potentially cross natural barriers to access new sites of delivery and to interact with DNA or small proteins at different levels in blood or within organs, tissue, or cells. Nanomedicines have become well appreciated in recent times due to the fact that nanoparticles could be utilized as delivery agents efficiently by encapsulating drugs and deliver them to target site more precisely with a controlled manner, thus mitigate the side effects with traditional therapies and better treatment outcomes. The coating of nanoparticles and functionalization of their surfaces increases the biocompatibility of the particle. Nanomedicine is used in applications such as targeted therapy, in vitro imaging, therapeutics, regenerative medicine, in vitro diagnostics, and vaccines. Now, we proceed to the trend of nanomedicine globally. As shown in the chart, the Americas is set to be the leading region for the nanomedicine market growth, followed by Europe. The Asian Pacific and the rest of the world are set to be emerging regions. Neurological diseases
is expected to show better growth in the forecast period. The Parkinson's Foundation Prevalence Project estimates that 930,000 people in the United States will be living with Parkinson's disease by the year of 2020. This number is predicted to rise to 1.2 million by 2030. Therefore, recent years has observed a significant number of research studies on methods for the synthesis of nanoparticle encapsulated drugs. Some of the registered nanoparticles for treatment are gold nanoparticle, lipid nanoparticle, and chitosan nanoparticle. Other than neurological diseases, research-based progress was found in the treatment of cancer. This figure shows the historical timeline of major development in the field of cancer nanomedicine. This table shows some examples of approved nanomedicine available commercially. Nanotechnology has dynamically developed in recent years, and all countries are increasing their investments in research and development in this field. Currently, there are 200 companies approximately involved in nanomedicine R&D. Here now, there are more than 40 nanomedicine products registered globally. In future, nanotechnology-based drug delivery systems can improve to implemented in various therapy, delivery of protein, antibiotics, and vaccines through blood-brain barrier. Before human application, mechanism and fate of nanoparticle drugs should be studied using animal models. Thus, scientists will be able to develop drug loading, targeting, low toxicity, and safe conditions. Some nanoparticles are not uniform in their size. More research on materials with more consistent uniformity and drug loading and release capacity would be the further area of research. Ligand or antibody conjugated nanoformulation, bifunctional and multifunctional nanoparticles are the newer research approaches through which detection and treatment of cancerous cells can be achieved. The nanoparticles can combine with computer programming systems to automatically regulate homeostasis in humans, such as blood glucose and calcium levels. Nanoliposomes have well developed and presently possesses the highest amount of clinical trials. However, the polymer-based nanomaterial, carbon nanotubes, and gold nanoparticles should not be overlooked because of less number of clinical trials. The application of gold and silver nanoparticles in diagnosis and therapy is an area of research that could potentially lead to wider application of nanomedicines in the future. Also, the fundamental markers of disease tissues, including key biological markers that allow absolute targeting without altering the normal cellular process, is one main future area of research. Ultimately, the application of nanomedicine will advance with our increasing knowledge of diseases at molecular level to open up avenues for new diagnosis or therapy. Hence, understanding the molecular signatures of disease in the future will lead to advances in nanomedicine application. Nanorobot, which is capable of penetrating the various biological barriers of human body to identify the cancer cells that function in tissue diagnosis and repair mechanism with few external control mechanisms. This has not been a reality and remains a futuristic research that perhaps should be attained by mankind in the very near future. Amid the COVID-19 crisis and the looming economic recession, the nanotechnology in drug delivery market worldwide will grow by a projected 124.7 billion, driven by a revised compounded annual growth rate of 22.6%. Nanocrystals is forecast to grow at over 20.2% and reach a market size of 83.1 billion. Although realization of full potential of nanomedicine may be years or decades away, recent advances in nanotechnology-related drug delivery, diagnosis and drug development are beginning to change the landscape of medicine. It is expected that nanomedicine will lead to the development of better devices, drugs, and other applications for early diagnosis or treatment of a wide range of diseases with high specificity, efficacy, and personalization, with the objective being to enhance patient quality of life.
3D drug printing trends and forecasts. 3D printing is a process where a 3D drug product is being produced through layer by layer printing, and nowadays, the 3D printing starts to be implemented in the manufacturing of the solid oral dosage form. Compared to the conventional manufacturing processes such as tablet compression, in which less flexible and less feasible to manufacture complex product, the 3D printing, on the other hand, is capable to do the part the conventional method unable to perform. This technology has been long researched more than 30 years ago, where this technology is the result of the merging of chemistry, optics, and robotic field. Recently, the FDA has approved a 3D printed drug, namely Spritam, in August 2015, which manufactured by Pharmaceuticals. Then, GlaxoSmithKline accomplished a research 2 years later pertaining to the production of tablets that treat Parkinson's disease using inkjet 3D printing and ultraviolet curing. This situation demonstrated the gaining popularity of this technology in pharmaceutical industry. What are the motivations that triggers the industrial player to develop 3D printed drug? There are four major motivations that drive the pharma industrial player to be involved in 3D printing drug. The first one is complex drug product, second is personalized medicine, third on-demand product, and finally the orphan drug. Trends and forecasts. Future of 3D printed drugs. 3D printing technology is predicted to become the single yet biggest disruptive technology in pharmaceutical industry since the assembly lines were introduced in 20th century. This is because this technology allows the decentralizing facilities of manufacturing the drug, i.e., from the mass manufacturing in the plant to the manufacturing at a small scale at the point of care, such as clinics, local pharmacy stores, or even in the patient's home. This technology will help the personalization medicine to be implemented in the healthcare sector. According to a market research company, the global 3D printed drugs market is valued as 272.17 million US dollar in 2018 and expected to reach 437.05 million US dollar by 2025 with a compound annual growth rate CAGR of 7% over the forecast period. Many pharmaceutical industrial players today are involved in the effort of manufacturing 3D printed drugs. The key players include Aprecia Pharmaceutical, Cycle Pharmaceutical, FabRx Limited, and several universities such as National University of Singapore, University of Nottingham, and others. Recently, a partnership agreement between Aprecia Pharmaceuticals and Cycle Pharmaceuticals was made, and both companies agreed to develop and commercialize orphan drugs using this technology. In the agreement, the new developed 3D printed orphan drug aimed to deliver an improvement in quality of life compared to the existing approved orphan drugs. This shows the 3D printing technology getting more interest in the pharmaceutical industry. Among the current trend in the 3D printed drug is the improvement of the speed and resolution of the printing. At the moment, the rate of printing a tablet of 500 mg using extrusion 3D printing method will require at least 3 minutes, which is slower than the conventional tablet compressing process. The solution to this issue is through continuous liquid interface production, a photopolymerization technique that able to remove the need of changes in micrometer level of fluid height during the processing. Another trend in 3D printing is printing with novel materials and creating material gradient during printing. Under this trend, researchers identified potential novel material to be used in 3D printing of drugs, such as silicones and stimuli-responsive polymers. Not only that, a method of producing spatial gradient of material properties through polymerizing and blending materials has been introduced for the purpose of 3D printing, and this concept has been applied recently in producing modified release tablet with a gradient of ethyl cellulose as a rate controlling excipient. In addition, the researchers currently also building the models and process analytical technology PAT for 3D printing to improve process understanding and characterization. PAT is defined as a system for designing, analyzing, and controlling manufacturing through timely measurement of critical quality to ensure the quality of the products at the highest standard. Among technologies that have been used as PAT in 3D printing are thermal imaging, spectroscopy, interferometry, and ultrasonic inspection. These technologies allow manufacturers to real-time control the printing process. Focus by technology. Several types of 3D printing technologies have been developed that can be used in drug manufacturing, and fused deposition modeling (FDM) is expected to hold the largest share in the market within 2018 to 2025 due to the innovations and technological advancement in the pharmaceutical drug field. Inkjet printer technology is also predicted to show a high growth rate during the forecast period. Meanwhile, Forecast by region, North America held the largest share in the global 3D printing as of year 2017 due to the growth in government and private funding on the healthcare sector, increase in awareness regarding the drugs, as well as increased technological awareness in pharmaceutical industry. Moreover, Asia Pacific is forecast to be the second most attractive regional market for the 3D printed drug and likely to show maximum growth in the next few years. Although 3D printing can be used to manufacture immediate release product, most of the researches being done are focusing on the modified release products. In addition, despite the gaining popularity of this technology among the pharmaceutical industrial players, concern on the best practice to ensure the highest quality in final product of 3D printing is still not being standardized. Moreover, there are resistance movements towards this technology in pharmaceutical industry as they concern on the intellectual property and the potential for counterfeiting drugs. Guidelines on the 3D printing medical devices and implants has just recently approved and released by the FDA in 2017, but no guidelines for the 3D printing drug products has yet released. This technology is expected to replace the current methods of manufacturing, but not in the near future as much efforts are needed in ensuring the drug products that are 3D printed is safe and effective for the patient.
Forecast of biosensor technology. Biosensor is a sensing device that comprising a biological component that intimately connected with a physical transducer. The biological component, often called as bioreceptor, interact with the analyte of interest, and this interaction is measured by a transducer, which output a measurable signal proportional to the presence of target analyte. After that, the signal will be transformed into numeric output and display. Several types of bioreceptor interactions are often used in biosensor, which include antibody-antigen interactions, enzymatic interactions, affinity binding receptor, nucleic acid interactions, and others. Ideally, biosensors should be readily implemented, allow for low reagent and energy consumptions, and enable quick, convenient testing at the point of concerns or care, where the sample was obtained. For the trend of biosensor technology, several trends of biosensor technology have been established to create a more portable, cost-effective, highly sensitive yet selective operational sensor. The first trend is the movement towards implementing labor-free mechanism. In order to simplify the operations, labor-free mechanism is detected as a biological sensing mechanism in which no staining, marking, or other labor attachment is required for the operations. The second trend is the integration of the biosensor without component, so that the technology can become more compact. Thirdly, in wearable biosensor, there is a need for a biosensor to be more convenient, non-invasive, selectively measure multi-parameters, yet improve detection stability and reliability. Next, the trend in biosensor technology includes providing long-term and continuous monitoring of chronic disease such as COPD, diabetes mellitus, or peripheral artery disease. Next, minimizing the biosensor diameter to nanoscale becoming a trend in biosensor technology. So it does not lengthen the biosensor response time. Next is the future trend of biosensor include nanobiosensor. Nanobiosensor is composed of a material with one of their dimensions between 1 to 100 nanometer, enable faster, more intelligent and precise, less costly, and more user-friendly biological detections. Magnetic biosensor. It provides a faster, streamlined detections of the disease of a drug. For the fiber optic biosensor, it is a very highly sensitive, labor-free, yet disposable biosensor. For the graphite biosensor, it is extremely strong and light, offering good electrical conductivity, excellent thermal conductivity, and good optical transparency. Microelectric mechanical biosensor allows the minimizations of the biosensor enable the previous inaccessible signal to be obtained from the patients. And the last one is the ingestible biosensor. It is able to reside in our body for a long period of time, monitoring the transforming drug delivery, clinical treatment, and diagnosis. Next, for the biosensor market forecasting, biosensor market size are valued up to US dollar of 18.6 billions in 2018 and have expected growth of around 8.0 CAGR from 2019 to 2025. And several factors that may stimulate the growth of biosensor technology include increasing prevalence of diabetes mellitus, technological advancement, growing awareness regarding maintenance of balanced and healthy lifestyle. For the biosensor market forecasting by type, wearable biosensors are forecast to witness the robust growth of 9.3% CAGR from 2019 to 2025. Non-wearable biosensor market held a major market share of over 52% in 2018. And for the biosensor market forecasting by medical applications, blood glucose testing biosensor dominated the biosensor industry in 2018 with 71.3% of revenue share. Cholesterol testing biosensor medical applications segment is forecast to grow at a rapid 8.6% of CAGR from 2019 to 2025. And for the biosensor market forecasting by reagent, US market nominated the North American biosensor industry with US dollar of 6 million revenue size in 2018, and Germany account for over 20% of European biosensor revenue size in 2018.
Gene and cell therapies trends and forecast. Overall, in Malaysia, the development of biotechnology is slower compared to other countries. However, Malaysia government have been taken initiative in making collaboration with other biotech partners such as New Zealand, Hungary, Korea, Japan, and Thailand. What is gene therapy? Gene therapy is a therapy that works by modifying genes inside patient cells in order to treat diseases. The most commonly used vectors are derived from virus. The disease-causing gene from virus have been removed before being used as vector to prevent virus from causing any infectious disease. However, this approach may still present with several risks such as activation of body's immune system reaction, or inserted virus may target different cells or target additional cells, and it is possible that the virus may recover their original ability to cause disease. Gene therapy trend. Utilization of gene therapies have been expected since 2001 as the first draft of human genome was completed. However, only in 2018, the first curative stand-alone gene therapy, Luxturna, was approved. Another gene therapy, Zolgensma, was approved in 2019. Years ago, the idea of using gene therapies as better alternative have almost come to an end after the death of J.C. Gelsinger in 1999 due to immune reaction to the vector for his metabolic disorder, followed by development of leukemia by multiple patients in gene therapy clinical trials. Since then, multiple efforts have been made to obtain better clinical and scientific knowledge regarding safety profiles for gene therapy. During the last 5 years, promising progress has been achieved for a large number of indications. Among the 3,000 clinical trials conducted, most of them have focused on cancer, while the other clinical trials are for monogenic, infectious, and cardiovascular diseases. About 70% of the trials are using viral vectors, hence much effort has been dedicated to issues related to delivery and safety of engineered vectors. Whereas, in 2019, the development for gene therapy is much focused on monogenic rare diseases, with quite a number of early-stage gene therapy development for oncology. Trend versus forecast. By 2024, the global gene therapy market is estimated to grow from $3.8 billion in 2019 to $13 billion due to increase in funds for R&D activities, rise in awareness regarding gene therapy, and rise in prevalence of cancer. However, high costs associated with the treatment and unwanted immune responses are expected to retard the growth of gene therapy market.
For trend by vector, non-viral vectors have accounted for the largest share in gene therapy market by 2018 and is expected to continue exhibit fast growth during forecast period. By application, oncological disorder segment was the largest contributor toward the market growth in 2018 due to increase in prevalence of cancer worldwide. However, during forecast period, the cardiovascular segment is anticipated to grow at a profitable rate due to increase in number of clinical trials. If observed by region, North America accounted for the largest share in gene therapy market in 2018, which driven by rising chronic diseases prevalence, high healthcare expenditure, and advanced healthcare infrastructure, and is expected to continue accounting for largest market share during forecast period. However, Asia Pacific is expected to register the highest growth during forecast period as the number of people prone to various chronic diseases rises. Next, for cell therapy, principle of cell therapy is by using cell itself as medicine, which cells are prepared from patient's own tissue, manipulated to have certain properties, and then injected back to the patient. Cell therapy can be either cell transplantation or drugs. Example of cell transplantation is stem cell therapy, which is first created in 1869. The first drug approved by FDA is the primary antigen receptor CAR-T lymphocyte, which has been genetically modified to kill and get rid of cancer cells. Cell therapy trend. Cell therapy market has gained great popularity globally due to emergence of stem cell therapy and CAR-T cell therapy. Up to now, there are more than 20 cell-based therapy that have been approved, such as Zynteglo and Alofisel. A lot of capital has been invested by companies and investors toward the development of cell-based therapeutics. However, there are still challenges such as limited availability of expertise and infrastructure to produce cell-based therapies. Trend versus forecast. Global cell therapy market is expected to grow due to rise in number of clinical studies, increased adoption of regenerative medicine, introduction of novel platforms and technologies. For trend by region, Americas accounted for the largest market share in 2017 due to presence of strong regulatory framework in order to promote cellular therapy development. But it is expected that European market will have highest growth by 2023 due to well-established healthcare infrastructure. Between autologous and allogeneic segment, autologous segment is expected to lead the market by end of 2023.
Trend and forecast in generic drugs. Generic drugs are medicines that manufacture and same as approved branded drug in the aspect of active ingredient, dosage form, safety, strength, quality, effectiveness, and benefits. After patency of branded drug ended, these generic drugs can receive approval and sold. The price of generic drugs lower than the branded drug as they do not need to repeat in vivo and clinical study that is required by the branded drug to ensure the safety and effectiveness. However, generic drugs require bioequivalent tests. The lower price also due to the competitions in the generic market as multiple approved generic drugs in the market for a single product. Trend of generic drugs in Malaysia. The percentage of generic drugs as prescription drugs has rose from 40% in 2010 to 55% in 2016. This shows Malaysia generic market share continue to grow over the years. The local generic pharmaceutical industry have the ability to manufacture almost all the dosage forms that include sterile and non-sterile preparation. They are able to provide high quality and affordable pharmaceutical product to the public. Healthcare expenditure increases as the rising of aging population, high prevalence of chronic diseases, and utilization of healthcare services. To reduce the burden of government and public, generic drugs were used because they are approximately 20 to 90% cheaper than the branded drugs. Thus, generic drug market sales increase. Malaysia is a member of the Pharmaceutical Inspection Conventional and Pharmaceutical Inspection Cooperation Scheme, which can ensure good manufacturing practice is complied with the international standard. This has enabled the locally manufactured generic drugs to be exported globally, especially to other PSCS member countries. Thus, currently Malaysia has increased the exportation of generic drugs to countries that are Asian, Africa, and South America. There are some policies imposed by the governments to enhance the development and usage of the generic drugs in Malaysia. For example, National Medicines Policy (NMP), which have encouraged generic manufacturing, generic prescribing, generic dispensing, generic substitution, and generic medicine use in Malaysia. Besides, some of the strategy include in the NMP 2012 enhance the development and usage of locally manufactured generic drugs. 6 entry point projects were proposed for the development and growth of healthcare sector. Under EPP 3, priority was provided regarding to the use of generic medicine domestically and to promote manufacturing for export. However, there is no strict implementation of this policy and strategy by government. There was a finding indicated many of them did not know about the similarity and difference between generic and branded drugs. About 50% of the respondents in the study had negative belief regarding the generic drugs and believed that the generic drug efficacy different from the branded medicines. About 30% of the respondents believed that the price of generic drugs were lower because they were less efficacious. National Pharmaceutical Regulatory Agency has imposed many new and stringent requirements for generic pharmaceutical over the year. This increased the time and cost for the development of a new generic drug. However, the quality of generic drugs manufactured in Malaysia increased with the strict implementation. This will also cause an increase in the competitiveness between local pharmaceutical industry to export. There are also competition rising from foreign generic manufacturers such as India that cause local generic industry become more competitive. The pharmaceutical companies also impose some patent protection strategy for the branded drugs lead to a great challenge in the development of the generic drugs. For example, combination of drug to market as a whole new product, new formulation, and new route of administration to extend the patents periods. Forecast of generic drug in Malaysia. Malaysian pharmaceutical manufacturers which manufacture generic drugs have developed their capabilities and facilities to develop and market the new off-patent products rapidly. Thus, they were able to rapidly develop and manufacture generic drugs for the public. Besides, they also able to move into to manufacture the higher value added products. For example, enhanced generic and biosimilar. Moreover, future patent entered of many blockbuster drugs have increased the opportunity in the development of generic drugs. Furthermore, the generic prescribing, generic substitution, and generic dispensing will be improved with the strict implementation of policy and cooperation between doctor and pharmacists. The increased education and awareness of generic medicines among healthcare professionals and the public will able to promote generic drug prescribing, dispensing, and consumptions. Besides, government support the use of generic drug in hospital, which can help to decrease the burden of government regarding the healthcare expenditure. Thus, generic market sales will continue to increase over years. The government further grow this sector by aiming the exportation of generic drugs that will be expanded to the developed countries, such as European Union and United States. The exports are aimed to grow at an annual rate of around 6% and to achieve 1.2 billion ringgit Malaysia by 2020. However, the government had signed Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement which caused the patent period to be extended. This will lead to delayed entry of generic drugs.
Pharmaceutical excipient trend and forecast. Pharmaceutical excipients are inner substances other than the pharmacological active drug, which are included in the manufacturing process or contained in a finished pharmaceutical product dosage form. Pharmaceutical excipients are widely used in drug formulation to provide long-term stability and bioavailability of the drug. They also add bulkiness to solid formulation and facilitate drug absorption. Besides, they control the drug release in the assimilation process to avoid gastric irritation or stomach upset, as well as help to transport the active drug to the exact target site. Trend of global pharmaceutical excipient market can be reported by different analyses, which are segmentation analysis, regional analysis, and competitive analysis.
In terms of segmentation analysis, the pharmaceutical excipients market is segmented by product, functionality, formulations, and geography. Product segment is divided into organic and inorganic chemicals. The organic chemicals emerge as the largest type segment, cover about 80% of the market, and produce revenues of $8.3 billion and grow by 6.1% year-on-year by 2025. These are the examples of organic and inorganic chemicals. However, cellulose excipients are the most popular product type, holding the majority of the total global market. Functionality segment contain fillers and diluents, binders, suspending and viscosity agents, coating agents, flavoring agents, disintegrants, colorants, preservatives, and others. Binders is expected to the fastest growing market over the forecast period from 2020 to 2025. They reached a value of $1.2 billion in 2018. Blooming of extended release formulation and wet granulation process increase the demand of binder. These are the two examples of binder. One is a cold water soluble starch, which used in high shear equipments. Another one is a water soluble maltodextrin binder, which used in the preparation of granulation solution or used in dry blends. Formulation is segmented into oral formulations, topical formulations, and parenteral formulations. The oral formulation segment dominated the global pharmaceutical excipient market with a 39.32% share of market revenue in 2018 and has projected revenue of $2.3 billion in 2019, $3.6 billion in 2025, growing at a CAGR of 7.8%. However, the parenteral formulation segment is anticipated to grow the highest CAGR of 7.72% over the forecast period from 2019 to 2025. The regions analyzed for the market included North America, South America, Europe, Asia Pacific, Middle East, and Africa. North America is expected to account for the largest market share in the global market with a 41.53% revenue in 2017. On the other hand, Asia-Pacific pharmaceutical excipient market is projected to expand at the fastest CAGR of 8.09% over the forecast period. Key players in the global pharmaceutical excipients market are Ashland, Bash SE, Dow DuPont, Rocky, Evonik, Associated British Foods, Lubrizol, Archer Daniels Midland Company, and Croda. India has become the important supplier to the manufacturers of the pharmaceutical excipient due to its cheap labor and low cost of manufacturing. India pharmaceutical excipient market is segmented based on type and functionality. The largest excipient company in India is Signet, reaching a turnover of $177 million in 2016. Signet supplies excipient in various dosage forms. In sustained release dosage, matrix tablets are the most common form and preferred over coating because of their similar function with reduced process time. Oral dosage form continue to be most common, with strong trends developing for osmotic drug delivery system technology. This technology is a specialized coating that sustains the release of a drug over a 24 period and is now beginning to be offered by more companies. Other trending dosage forms are nasal and inhalation. Forecast of global pharmaceutical excipients market is expected to reach $9.78 billion by 2025 from $6.9 billion in 2019 at CAGR of 6.78% in the forecast period. India pharmaceutical market size is set to reach $76.7 billion by 2024 at a CAGR of 15.9% over the forecast years. Lastly, rapid growth of the pharmaceutical industry, global surge in the sales of generic drugs after patents expired, rising prevalence of chronic diseases, advancement in functional excipients, increasing geriatric population, rising adoption of orphan medication, and the swiftly growing biopharmaceutical sector are driving the growth of the global pharmaceutical excipient market in coming years. On the other side, cost and time-demanding drug development process and increasing regulatory inflexibility cause stringent regulatory approval process are restricting the growth of the market. However, increasing demand for the pharmaceuticals from the developing economies, development of multifunctional excipients, and growth of the biosimilars are the opportunities for pharmaceutical excipients to grow in the future.
Next is the trends and forecast in orphan drugs. First and foremost, what is orphan drugs? Orphan drugs are pharmaceutical products or drugs that are intended for the diagnosis, prevention, or treatment of orphan or rare disease. So what does an orphan disease means? Orphan disease is any disease that affects a small percentage of population. Orphan disease can be extremely rare, which found in only a few people or might occur in hundreds or up to thousands. For instance, in Europe, orphan disease is when the disease affects in less than 1 in every 2,000 persons. Roughly, orphan disease affects about 400 million patients, in which about 1 in every 15 persons worldwide. There are more than 6,000 orphan diseases, in which the causes of some are frustratingly elusive. A lot of orphan diseases are originating from the genetic. However, some are due to the faulty immune response, or exposure to infection, or adverse response to therapy for other conditions or diseases. Initially, before 1983, there were less than 10 products were seen in the market indicated for orphan diseases. Orphan drugs are not developed by the pharmaceutical industry for academic purposes, but in response to the public health need. Under normal market conditions, the pharmaceutical industry player has little interest in developing and marketing orphan drugs, as they assume that the market for orphan drugs are small and they would face a financial loss. However, the increasing trends are seen in the orphan drug development starts from 1983, where the United States implemented the Orphan Drug 1983. Then, in 1990s, other countries such as Singapore, Japan, Australia, Europe, and many more countries started to adopt the law. The implementation of the law contributed to the increasing trends of orphan drugs development as there are benefits covered, which I will explain in the next slides. First is market exclusivity. In general, under the regulation, the regulatory bodies are not allowed to approve the same product for the same orphan indication during the period of market exclusivity. The market exclusivity varies between countries. For instance, in US, the pharmaceutical companies are given 7 years of market exclusivity, while in Europe and Japan, they were given 10 years of market exclusivity from the approval. Secondly, the orphan drug stimulus. Different countries provide different stimulus to the pharmaceutical companies that granted orphan drug designation. For instance, in Europe, pharmaceutical companies are given financial incentives in terms of fee reductions and protocol assistance in the form of scientific advice during the product development. While in Japan, the pharmaceutical companies are eligible to receive free consultation service, financial aid for the collection of supporting data, tax redemption, and they offer lesser time for orphan drugs approval than that of the regular drugs. While in Taiwan, it is not a requirement for pharmaceutical designated as orphan drugs to undergo clinical trials for approval if FDA has already approved it. Since the passing of Orphan Drugs Act in 1983, there are a lot of drugs for orphan diseases have been brought to the market. Over 80% of orphan drugs products were initially approved as solely rare disease treatment, and it is less common for a drug that is first approved for marketing to treat a non-rare diseases but later adds one or more orphans indication. For instance, these two drugs, Ambrel and Humira, they are among the top-selling orphan drugs which were initially approved to treat non-rare diseases but now are used to treat the orphan diseases. From the 83% of drugs that are initially approved as an orphan drugs, nearly three-fourths of them have not expanded their label indication, meaning they are solely used for the indicated orphan diseases. And only a few of initial orphan approvals have added a non-rare indications to their label. Worldwide orphan drug sales forecast a total of $242 billion in 2024. The sales of orphan drugs are expected to grow 12.3% per year, approximately double than that of the non-orphan drug market, in which orphan drugs are said to account for over a fifth of all prescription drug sales by 2024. Biological orphan drugs may register the highest market share and is expected to grow at a good pace. The high market share is due to the higher cost of biological drugs compared to the non-biological. The recent trend of approval of biological orphan drugs for multiple indications has resulted in growth and has been the motivating factor for the new and established pharmaceutical players to enter this market. Currently, the orphan drug market is dominated by North America and is expected to continue for a few more years. In the North American region, US hold the largest market share. One of the reasons for market growth is that the market is exclusivity offered in US. The orphan drugs market is moderately competitive and consists of quite a few major players. In terms of market share, a few of the major players currently dominate the market. With a rising number of orphan diseases and increasing number of the cases each year, a few small players are entering the market now and holding a substantial share. The major players of the drug markets include Celgene Corporation, Alexion Pharmaceuticals, Pfizer, Johnson and Johnson, Bristol Myers, and La Roche. Celgene is forecasted to be the leading company in 2024 with an estimated 70% of its total prescription sales coming from the orphan drug sales. The orphan drug market is becoming increasingly fragmented with more companies choosing to focus development efforts on fewer indications and drugs. For instance, Vertex Pharmaceutical is focusing solely on cystic fibrosis, while Alexion Pharmaceuticals focuses mainly on blood disorders. Both companies are expected to generate all the 2024 prescription sales from the orphan drug market.
Next is trend and forecast of artificial intelligence and big data in drug discovery and healthcare. So what is artificial intelligence? Artificial intelligence refers to the intelligence exhibited by computers, which is simulation of human intelligence. The process includes acquiring information, developing rules for using the information, drawing approximate or definite conclusion, and self-correction. It is computational tools, software, and algorithm which provide better analytics before and during manufacturing processes and stimulate insights to fuel better decisions in the pharmaceutical industry. When drug discovery moved into the era of big data, machine learning approach evolved into deep learning approach, which are a more powerful and efficient way to deal with massive amounts of data generated from modern drug discovery approach. Big data in healthcare consists of billions of entries of patients, treatment, drugs, surgical procedures, research results, and many more. It is as a source for artificial intelligence and exactly what powers up it and allows it to work efficiently. History of AI in healthcare is quite short as it needs many modern time inventions to work. To name just computers and the internet, the first attempts to implement AI in healthcare were around 1970s when Dendral was introduced at Stanford University, USA. It is assumed to be the very first AI in healthcare and originally was used to help chemists in identifying unknown organic molecules. Dendral was a father for many following AI systems in healthcare. Other than that is Mycin, where a system that used to identify bacteria causing severe infections such as bacteremia and meningitis, and it will recommend antibiotics with dosage adjusted for patient's body. The next milestone happened in around 1990 in the minds of AI system. They decided that if it has to offer any existence, it has to be based on the expertise of physicians and take into consideration all the data. That was necessary for the following development and improvement of AI in healthcare. Since then, much has changed and today the system in healthcare is much more advanced. So what are the examples and how it is used today? So these are the examples of AI intelligence application at countries other than Malaysia. And in Malaysia, there is a strategic collaboration between Malaysian Investment Development Authority (MIDA) with collaborative research in engineering, science and technology (CRES), as well as medicine, which was facilitated by Telemedicine Development Group or TDG, where they produce Tethy-Pre. What is Tethy-Pre? It is a traditional stethoscope in updated version where it allows users to listen to heart and lung sounds with sophisticated amplification and filtering technology, and this improves the way in which the heart and lungs are examined with detailed and accurate analysis by enabling the recording to be transmitted to smart device such as smartphone or tablet via Bluetooth technology, and recording are then analyzed to build a personal biometric signature for each patient and detect the presence of heart or lung disease. And the system technology platform behind Stethy AI engine will automatically text geolocation and aggregate environmental data for analysis, where it provides healthcare professionals with quantitative clinically data. Advantages and challenges. So the advantages of AI and big data in pharmaceutical industry include it will reduce
costs and save time for drug discovery, and provide better analytics before and during the manufacturing process. And it also assists in clinical decision making, where it gives much more improved patient care, improve operational and R&D efficiency, and finding cure for a disease where it has the possibility of predicting the occurrence of specific disease or prognosis, progression, and factors determining it. And the challenges includes companies need to be prepared to handle the volume of data because the speed at which it accumulates will be faster, and they have to organize it best to create a more detailed future. And there's also risk to patient and healthcare providers where it lead to algorithm bias and do not receive side implication and lead to mission morality because an ethical issue may happen, and currently no regulation exists specifically for the use of AI in healthcare. Parallel with traditional drug R&D model, the new AI and drug model has strength to decrease time cycle. According to statistics, to be in preclinical stage, it takes 4 to 6 years for drug development in traditional model. The new drug development channel based on AI and complete preclinical drug development on average 1 to 2 years, and drug development is significantly enhanced. Billions of dollars are invested each year into the discovery and development of new medicine. By discovering the correct drug efficiently and in a small amount of time, the system can speed up the process and make larger number of potentially life-saving drugs available on the market. Researchers stated that it could increase the success rate of drug development from 12% to 14%, giving billions of dollars saving to pharmaceutical companies because it is producing great saving. So it is estimated that by 2026 it will save up to $115 billion. And in conclusion, AI and big data have potential to lower the cost and time of drug trial.